All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Christina Sambor. I'm born and raised here in Bismarck. I'm an attorney in North Dakota, and I'm the North Dakota State Director for Gender Justice and an attorney for the children, parents, and pediatrician named as plaintiffs in the lawsuit we're filing this morning against the state of North Dakota. Let me be very clear about what this lawsuit is about. Based on nothing more than unfounded fears and their own political agenda, state lawmakers have singled out a small group of North Dakota kids for unequal treatment under the law simply because they are transgender, denying them widely used, evidence-based, life-saving care. The care that state makers have banned for transgender and non-binary kids remains legal and readily available to all other North Dakota youth. In no other context have these politicians sought to step in between parents, children, and their doctors, dictating what healthcare options are available and criminalizing care that every major medical association in the United States endorses. They have outlawed essential healthcare for these kids simply and exclusively because they are transgender. They have stripped parents of their right to decide for themselves what's best for their own children. They have made it a criminal offense for doctors to provide health care that can literally save children's lives. And so today we are standing up for North Dakota kids and families. We're defending them against the politicians who have targeted them with these attacks on their personal freedom and their rights under the North Dakota Constitution. We are asking the court to immediately block enforcement of North Dakota's ban on essential health care for transgender and non-binary kids. We seek to restore to all North Dakota kids their right and ability to live their lives as exactly who they are, without our state government telling them that it is unacceptable and outlawing the care and support they need to do so. Denying healthcare to kids who need it is cruel to them and devastating to the families who love and support them. It is an unconstitutional attack on individual liberty and personal freedom. It is egregious governmental overreach, and it's time to put a stop to it once and for all. And to give you more information about our case and the stories behind it, I would like to introduce you to Tate Dolney, one of our plaintiffs.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tate Dolney. I'm 12 years old. I live in Fargo, where I just started 7th grade. I'm into art and playing music with my dad and an orchestra. I'm a junior black belt in Taekwondo, normal stuff for a 12-year-old kid. I'd rather be doing just about any of that than being here today. I'd even rather be doing schoolwork, but our state lawmakers haven't given me much of a choice. They're the ones who made it illegal for me to keep getting health care that has made it possible for me to be the happy, healthy kid I am today. I've known my true gender was different from the one I was assigned at birth since I was at least 8 years old. I told my parents when I was 9, and they helped me find a therapist who could help me make sense of everything I was feeling. We spent a lot of time over many sessions talking about it. Even then, it still took some time for me to really start living as a boy. And in the meantime, my life was really hard. I felt unhappy, uncomfortable, and confused. The changes my body was going through as I approached puberty as a girl made me feel gross and upset. The way I felt inside and the way the rest of the world saw me was so different, and it was painful. All of that changed when I started getting the care I needed and living as my true self. I started feeling more confident and much happier. I started doing better in school and was having more fun with my friends and my brother, doing things I love to do. I was finally able to just be who I truly am. It has hurt me all over again to know that the lawmakers who have banned the health care that has made this possible don't want this for me and want to take it all away from me and every other transgender and non-binary kid who just wants to be left alone to live our lives in peace. Getting the care I need has become a huge hassle because I have to go out of the state to get it, and the idea of not getting it honestly terrifies me. I know I'd go right back to feeling confused, angry, and depressed, and I think it would be even worse than before because I know how good it feels to be able to be my true self. So that's why I'm here today. I just want to go back to being a happy, healthy kid, and I want every other kid in North Dakota to have the same chance I've had to live their lives as they truly are. I don't think this is too much to ask. I wish our state lawmakers felt the same.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Dolney, and I am Tate's dad.
And I'm Devin Dolney, Tate's mom and a plaintiff in the lawsuit. A lot of people don't understand what it's like to have a transgender child. So I want to say a little bit more about the difference that getting the right healthcare for Tate has made in all of our lives. Before Tate started getting care, he was severely depressed, angry. He cried all the time. He couldn't concentrate in school, which affected his schoolwork and his grades, made him fall behind. He told us he hated himself and actually hurt himself intentionally a few times.
And I think even if you don't have kids, I think you can imagine how devastating this was for us as Tate's parents and for everybody who loves him and cares about him deeply. It tore us to pieces to see him hurting so bad.
Once he started getting the support and healthcare that he needed to live his life as who he truly is, he's been an entirely different kid. He went from hiding in his room and refusing to spend time with anyone to playing with his brother and his friends again and getting involved in activities.
He kind of hides in his room now, but
Well,
that's preteen stuff. I mean, we were all there.
no worse than any other preteen.
Yeah.
But he went from being ashamed and uncomfortable with who he is to being confident and outgoing. It would be an understatement to say that the change was dramatic. It was miraculous.
And I think any parent facing this situation we did would do anything to help their kids and to help their children thrive. That's why it's upsetting and extremely frustrating and so enraging that a group of politicians in our state legislature would stand between parents and our children in this way.
They basically built a brick wall between us and the healthcare that Tate's doctor has prescribed and that we know he needs. We have to travel significantly farther for Tate's appointments, which now have to take place in Minnesota. And if we even just need to talk to Tate's doctor about this, we can't unless his doctor is over in his Minnesota office. Tate's dad and I have considered moving out of North Dakota because of all this. But, we're born and raised here. North Dakota is our home. It's not right and it's not fair that our own state government is making us feel like we have to choose between the health and well-being of our child and our home.
I grew up in Heber, North Dakota. This is my home. North Dakota is my home. It's supposed to be a place where people tend to their own lives, families, and business, and let others do the same. But by passing this law, these politicians have intruded on our lives and inserted themselves into decisions that they have no business being involved in.
And all of this is why we have chosen to get involved in the lawsuit. We're not asking for money or looking for anything special. We just want what everyone else in the state has, and that's the privacy to make decisions for our own family. We just want to keep our child happy and healthy and alive, and to give him the care and support that he needs to live as the unique and wonderful person that he is. And we want the same for every family in North Dakota. It's just a shame that we have to go to court to do it.
Thank you so much to that family for being so brave and sharing their story with us. Next, I'd like to introduce physician Dr. Amanda Dahl to speak a bit about her perspective on the healthcare ban.
Hello, my name is Dr. Amanda Dahl, and I'm a pediatric endocrinologist based out of Fargo. My partner, Dr. Louis Casas, has treated all three of the child plaintiffs in this lawsuit and is a plaintiff himself. I stand to support my colleague and the patients that we serve in this lawsuit. Like Dr. Casas, my work has absolutely been affected negatively by North Dakota's ban on essential health care for transgender and non-binary children. Through my practice, I see kids navigating a wide range of hormonal issues. I take pride in my ability to tailor the care I offer to each patient's unique personal needs and in the positive changes that result when we achieve the right balance. The transformation I see in many of my patients is significant and is as gratifying for me as it is a relief for the patients and their families. But the actions taken by the North Dakota politicians responsible for the law that's being challenged in this lawsuit make it illegal for me to offer the full range of healthcare options to the transgender and non-binary kids who come to me for counsel and care. If I prescribe certain medications and treatments to trans kids, I can be charged with up to $3,000 and could be placed in jail for 360 days. Even though the very same treatments I can use for other children who are not transgender or non-binary. It is no exaggeration to say that healthcare for trans kids is life-saving. Research shows that when a trans and non-binary kids receive the care they need, it reduces the risk of depression by 60% and the risk of self-harm by up to 73%. Perhaps unsurprisingly, every major medical organization in the United States, including American Academy of Pediatrics, American Medical Association, and American Psychiatric Association, support the age-appropriate, gender-affirming care for transgender and non-binary people. These organizations represent millions of doctors, researchers, and mental health professions across the country. You would think that healthcare that commands such a high level of support has proven so effective in reducing depression and suicide among young people would be celebrated and encouraged, not outlawed. But a small handful of North Dakota legislatures have chosen to substitute their political agenda for the expertise and overwhelming consensus of medical professions nationwide. Mountains of scientific evidence accumulated over many years, and more importantly, the health, happiness, well-being of these children, that their lives are now being put in danger. I applaud the courage of the children and families who have brought this lawsuit and the organizations that support them. And for the sake of all transgender and non-binary children, I desperately want them to win over the state. Thank you so much for your time.
We would be open for any questions at this time.
Make it clear, you're looking for an immediate injunction against.
That's correct. Yep. So we'd be looking for a temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction, and then the overall aim of the lawsuit is to seek to enjoin enforcement of the ban on gender affirming care for minors in North Dakota. Yes. So the question was that the law contains a grandfather clause and asking if the family had been receiving treatment before the law went into effect and kind of what impact that's had. If I may, I'd like to maybe have Brittany Stewart, who's our lead attorney on this case, just come up and address the kind of question about the grandfather clause and then turn it over to the family if the family would like to address the question. Thank you.
Hi, Brittany Stewart, Senior Staff Attorney at Gender Justice. The clause you're talking about is actually part of our lawsuit as well. It was drafted in such a vague way that providers in North Dakota don't feel comfortable proceeding with care, even any care that was ongoing before the ban took effect. And so to protect themselves from criminal liability, they've just decided to not even risk it because that vague law doesn't give them enough detail to understand exactly what they can and cannot do. And so that's one of the things we're challenging.
Yeah. So how it's affected us, even with the grandfather clause, like she said, our doctor is still treating it, you know, as if it's a ban because, he doesn't want to risk himself, his medical license. So now we do have to travel over into Minnesota. And like we mentioned in our statement, if like there was an issue or if we had questions or anything regarding Tate's healthcare, his gender affirming care, we can't even speak to him or his team unless they're in that Minnesota office, which isn't all of them. No, they said that they would get back to us when they are over there, because that's the only way that they're safe.
The hormone treatments for early onset puberty and other similar conditions. Would you address that?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, that's actually a fundamental part of our lawsuit. We're filing, which is the Equal Protection Clause of the North Dakota Constitution, requires everybody be treated equally. And by allowing these treatments to be used for non-transgender kids and singling out transgender kids specifically to not be able to access that care, we are saying that that is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause in the North Dakota Constitution.
Could the participant in Zoom that asked a question please repeat?
Yes, April Baumgarten with the forum. Do you know of any doctors that have left North Dakota for jobs because of this law? And if so, how many?
Hi, I'm Dr. Heather Sandness Nelson. I am a physician here in Bismarck. I don't know if any have left. There's only a few people in town here that I'm aware of that also take care of transgender individuals, myself included. It hasn't forced any of us to leave the state, but it isn't getting increasingly more difficult to take care of our patients. So if it continues, then I can't imagine the squeeze that some are going to be feeling with the criminal oversight that it may prompt some to leave if they can't feel like they can practice comfortably.
And then I would have one more question, if I may.
Yes.
So
Yes.
obviously legislators were responsible for crafting this law and passing it, but ultimately Governor Burgum had the final say in approving it. What message would you send to Governor Burgum at this moment?
Our focus is really, and what we're here today to talk about is the experience of the family. And that's what I want to highlight for everyone listening, is that there are real people impacted by this law in very real ways. And our lawsuit seeks to hopefully regain those rights for them to what should be confidential and personal decisions about medical care. And so that would be my message to anyone listening today, is these are basic rights that a lot of us take for granted, and our plaintiffs deserve to have the same access to healthcare that the rest of us do.
I might say something about that too.
Yeah.
To Governor Burgum, I work at Microsoft in Fargo, and I know you have a history with Great Plains and working at Microsoft. And one of the values that Microsoft has instilled in us is support and equality across all walks of life and all people. I know you won't betray that lesson and what you've learned in, working with Great Plains and working at Microsoft. So please, this is important to my family. This is important to us, and more so all the families that are affected by this. Just make the right decision. Thank you.
One more question, please.
Yes. The question from Jack Darrow was whether or not there are other laws currently on the books that Gender Justice or others plan to challenge. We are certainly aware that the healthcare ban is far from the only law that has made existence in North Dakota more difficult for trans people. And so we are committed to coming alongside many other great organizations that are doing advocacy and looking at everything we can do to support the community. And so that's really, I think, the detail I could provide for you at this time. I mean, in terms of the climate, I would probably just kind of refer back to our purpose here today, which is our family plaintiffs have talked about the impact of these laws being passed, of the climate and how difficult it's made, as well as the doctors, and talking about the stress that it's putting on individuals that are really looking for basic health care that helps them live their lives, be happy, and treat children. And so there's no question that the law that's been passed has had a significant impact on our plaintiffs. And we look forward to an opportunity to rectify that in court. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate everyone's time and attendance, and the representatives from Gender Justice, as well as some other community organizations, are around. So feel free to follow up if you want. All right. Thank you, everyone.